Coach, this is your 30th season at Michigan State. When you started in 1995 as head coach, did you ever imagine that you could have this type of run in East Lansing?
You know, Robbie, it was year 3 and we were 4-4, and the only thing I was thinking about is what I'm going to do after I get fired. And I mean that, you know, things worked out and they went, but not in a million years did I ever dream it'd be like this. And thank God I had good mentors, you know, Judd, old Purdue guy, Gene Cady, who I just talked to the other day. Was a guy that, you know, used to call me when things were struggling, and that's when coaches were coaches, you know. Now it's not quite the same, but never thought I'd have a run like this. Grateful to my institution, and I think it's one of those deals that I think I've done some things for them, and they've done some things for me, and that's a good deal.
You mentioned Coach Heathcote. What's one thing that maybe you took from him that still, to this day, even though you're talking 30 years later, it still resonates with your program?
You know, there was one thing, and it involves you a little bit. It involves media a little bit. It was my first year as a full-time. I was a GA for 3 years, and they were talking about firing him. And so it was media. You know, he opened it once a week to the media, and they were in there, and he's walking across the court telling jokes with these two guys that I know had written articles early in the morning about firing him, you know, and I said, you know, how can you do that, you know? And I was ticked off about it. And he said, you better realize this, son, if you're gonna be successful in this, everybody's got a job to do and everybody's got a boss to please. And he says, they got one, and you got one, and I got one. And it's no different. And so I've always had a great relationship with the media. I mean, especially the print media that writes, and it was all because of Judd.
What type of advantage do you think it is? And I think Purdue has this with Gene Cady and then going into Matt Painter. You know, 2 head coaches. It was Judd for so long, and it's been you for 30 years. What type of advantage in a world where the landscape is turning over so hard with players and coaches and staffs, but that's not been the case in East Lansing? Why does that give you guys the advantage?
Well, I think Matt and I are good friends because of it, you know, and we were on a lot of committees and trying to fight the fight of what's going on, but we've kind of run our programs similar because we had bosses. They were best friends, and what they believed in, they were our mentors. But it's been 50 years for me, you know, Judd and myself. And you know what really helps us is I like bringing back former players, and that helps set your culture, and that helps set the players that are there now when you get people talking to them. And so, you know, the Judd era, even though Magic, I wasn't there then, but some of the guys that I was there for, the Scott Skiles and Sam Vincent's, Kevin Willis's as a GA, you know, a lot of times those guys come back, and when those guys come back, now you bring the past and the present together. And you know what you realize, Robbie, is that basketball's basketball at the end, you know. Some are getting paid, some were poor, some are this, some are that. At the end of the day, you got to put the ball in the basket. You can't turn over. You got to guard somebody, and it's the same.
After the NCAA tournament last year, you said, I'm going to get back to a deeper run in this tournament or I'm going to die trying. You've been to 8 Final Fours. You've won a national championship. You've got over 700 wins. You've been doing this forever. What is it that keeps driving you to feel that way?
I haven't felt as good. You know, 2 years ago we were in the Sweet 16 and had a shot to go to the Elite 8. And I just, you know, since COVID, we were really good that year too. I think that would have been one of our best teams with Cassius Winston. And, you know, sometimes I look in the mirror and I say the hardest thing for a player to do is self-evaluate. Sometimes coaches don't self-evaluate very good. And so I look in the mirror and I said, you know, have I tapered it down too much? Are you worried about players leaving and this and that? And I just said, you know what? I got to be who I am. And everybody says there's an old school way and a new school way. There's also a right school way and a wrong school way. And so I feel great. You know, I'm excited to get rolling. Different with this conference. And the numbers, but we still got some guys that I really respect and rely on, and one of them is your guy.
Tyson Walker graduates. He was definitely the go-to guy down the stretch. Who do you think on this new iteration of the team?
I'm hoping it's Jaden Akins, you know, and he's been a guy that started for 2 years. He's got to take a big step, you know, but that happens a lot of places where seniors got to. Denzel Valentine had to take a monstrous step. He did. If Jaden Akins takes that step, I think we have more depth than we've had in a long time. Depth is sometimes a good thing and a bad thing. The bad thing about it is if everybody's equal, maybe nobody's stepping up enough. So I'm looking at depth both ways, but I do feel like I'm 10 deep and could play those players. I think we're bigger than we were last year. I think we're stronger than we were last year. I think we're tougher than we were last year. But that go-to guy, that guy that could get you a bucket, will be the question marks that'll be answered in the next couple of weeks.
Well, and what is the next step for Jaden Akins? You know, what is it more consistency? Is it him going to the glass every time? Is it him running the wing? There's a lot of things that I feel like he shows that he is capable of doing. What do you want to see?
Well, he's a great athlete. He's a phenomenal student. And he's a 38%, 39% career three-point shooter. He's got to get there more. He's got to offensive rebound more because that's what we do at our place. And that's what he hasn't done as a good job. He's got to run the lanes more consistently because we got to get him shots. We got to get him those baskets on the break. And I think I got to do a better job getting him the ball. So I'll take a few things he's got to do, a few things I got to do. I think we have more of a passing, a point guard right now. Got to be at the end. AJ was, because he could score it. And I think now we're going to be able to get Jaden more shots, and I think that'll help.
By all accounts, Xavier's had a really good summer in the weight room. You wanted him to be more physical. Physically, he was not ready last year, and I think that was clear to people who watch and know basketball. What have you liked about the way he's played this summer?
Well, you said that so eloquently.
Thank you.
That it is. You get ranked high because you have measurables. I mean, 6'11", 40-some inch vertical, length, great hands. But he was 217 pounds. It was just, he was too skinny and too weak. He's 238 to 40 now. He's done a great job. He's a good kid. Most kids that happens to this day and age, they bolt,
Totally.
go and get stuff, get the hell out of Dodge. You know what? He didn't do that. He worked. I think he was able to understand the only thing left is, can you do it consistently? Like, he had a great practice a couple days ago, then an average one, and I just said, to move up that notch, you got to be consistent. But before you can be consistent, you got to realize, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses? I think he understood what his, and I think you understood it because you're a basketball guy. Most basketball guys understand it. Most fans, unfortunately, don't understand it. And so that makes it hard on him because of the stuff he hears, and probably hard on me, but I'm kind of weathered on that.
You're tough. You're tough enough to handle it.
I can handle it.
Jeremy Fears faced some real adversity his freshman year, but now he's been given the reins to run this team. Why is he the guy to do that?
Well, he's got a little bit of the Team Cleaves back in the day where, Jeremy's not a great shooter yet, but he has vocal presence. He has a high basketball IQ. He has tremendous toughness. He should be our best defender. He should be a guy that can really see and get people involved. And when you got a point guard that can get other people involved, we got a kid named Frankie Fiddler, one of the transfers we got. He can really score it. And Jaden Akins on the other wing. And then, Trey Holloman has really played well, really shot the ball well. So I think we're getting some traction there. The other guy that was hurt last year, Jackson Kohler, he showed moments. He's really been consistent this summer. He too is in better shape. So we're a year older. We're a year better. We don't have a lot of missing parts. We're a little bigger. We got another, Shimon Zapola is another transfer that is 7 foot. And so I think we've got the majority of our team back. We've got some guys that got to step up in different roles, but I think we're going to be stronger. I think we're going to be bigger. And it's that shooting the ball and getting that guy that can make that big shot. That'll be what I need to see yet, and I think what we do. And if we do, I think we could be a very good team.
You guys took a trip to Spain this summer, and you haven't taken many of the foreign trips in your time at Michigan State. Why was it time for this team to take that? How will that benefit this team going
forward? We were going to take one in 20 and 21, and then COVID came. But you're right, we haven't taken a ton of them. I just look at it like you want to go with a team that's not just all young guys, because you need to work with those guys, but guys that maybe have been there a year but need to step up a notch. So I think it was good for us. We played 3 good games. The Serbian team we played was really good. We played everybody almost equal minutes because I think I have one of those kind of teams. which is good and bad when you're in Europe, because there were times, I played more to see what I had than even to win a game. And the only game we lost was to Serbia, but they were good too. So I think in general it helped us. I think the fall has gone great, but now the real grind starts, as you know.
The Big Ten has changed so much. We had Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA. What excites you most about the challenge of those 4 West Coast schools coming into the league?
I'm gonna learn how to surf. I'm going out there. I told Mick Cronin, in between USC and UCLA, he's got to take me to the beach, But, I think what excites me is the Big Ten now, and you played in it, we're from coast to coast. You talk about exposure, you talk about opportunities, you talk about being in different venues, you get to play in Pauley Pavilion. Everybody knows Pauley Pavilion. You got 4 really good coaches, 3 guys that I know pretty well, and a coach at Washington I'm learning to know. But, is it going to be challenging? Of course it's going to be challenging. It'll be challenging for them too. And the only thing I struggle with a little bit as these conferences get bigger is you don't get to have the rivalries as much, the 2 games, you play at Purdue, you play at Michigan State, you play at Illinois, you play at Michigan State, or, that's the only thing. Now, they've done it good. Indiana, Purdue's going to always play twice, Michigan State, but there are a lot of other good rivalries, and you only play 3 teams twice. That means a lot of different prep work. So your assistants better do their job.
I know you're only going out west one time with the way the schedule is set up, but have you maybe gone outside of the Michigan State tree to maybe figure out how NBA teams do how are you preparing to handle some of the longer travel that we haven't seen, over the course of
you hit on something that was really neat, because I do have a couple guys, Jimmy Boylan, Brian Gregory's now at Phoenix, and I have 11 former GAs that are in the league in some form or another, and I have talked to some of them about that. Going out there is one thing, coming back is another, as you know, because you've done it. But I don't know if you ever know until you do it, So we'll try to get an idea. It's going to be a little different too, because when we go out there, we're going to play 2 games, and you're still going to have 2 days in between, which is a lot. So you're going to be in a hotel. The advantage is we go to USC, UCLA, probably stay in the same place and just go, Oregon, Washington will be a little different, but we don't do that till next year. So, yeah, I'm going to look outside the box. I'm going to talk to different people, and yet I'm going to try to tell my team we got to be physically and mentally tough enough to handle some adverse things. And you better learn how to deal with them, because they're coming, and they're coming every day.